I think I'm more shocked because I didn't think we'd be here. I think we all said, and then I know we all said on this show. In fact, all Bears fans, we don't ever agree on anything as a fan base, but we all said that Matt Eberflus shouldn't have a job. I didn't think it was going to get this bad. I can't believe they were right back here in the same situation, on the road to ruin another quarterback, on the road to figuring out just how does the offense gets worse. Like, you've got a situation right now where I didn't think it get worse than Matt Nagy. I was like, this is terrible. Matt Eberflus makes Matt Nagy look like Bill Belichick. Like, and it's gotten even worse even since last year. Luke Getsy has been fired twice in the calendar year, and he looks worlds better than whatever Shane Waldron's doing over there. The Bears didn't have their pick of the litter with the offensive coordinator. Why? Because no offensive coordinator is going to sign with what we said was a lame duck coach. So they didn't really have their pick of the litter. And you're attaching them to another guy who doesn't know what he's doing. Last night at the game, I've been to a lot of games over these last 4 years. Before I started covering the team, I'd only been to Soldier Field twice. Once when my brother played a high school game there, and two for my 30th birthday, the 2018 season, the Bears when they played the Jets. Because Bears tickets have always just been super expensive, and I didn't grow up rich, so I could never actually go to the games. I actually only been to 2 total Bears games before I started covering the team. The other one was a road game in Detroit, like New Year's Eve or New Year's Day 2010. That's how long ago that was. So prior to covering the team, I didn't see a lot of games in person. Since I've been covering the team, I started in 2021, full-time in 2022. I've seen a lot of bad games. I've seen a lot of bad losses. But yesterday was the worst loss I've ever seen. This fan base is apathetic now. You never want your fan base to reach apathy, where I just don't think they care. I've seen so many bad losses in person in that building. I've seen so many bad losses on television. What I've never seen is fans leave with like 8 minutes left in the game. What I've never seen is me heading into the game and the vibes are just dead. I mean, this team won 3 games 2 seasons ago, and I never, in any of those games I worked, ever felt the vibes as low as I felt it yesterday. I was in the elevator heading up to the press box, and one of the elevator ladies like, "Hey, we need to have a little bit more energy. Let's go Bears!" And everybody in there, from media members to season ticket holders, like, yeah, doing the Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined. That team, those fans were checked out in the second quarter. I checked out at halftime. I went and got that crappy food they served us yesterday. I came back to my seat and I watched Red Zone for the second half. The game that I was actually at was background music. And we can sit up here. We can blame Matt Eberflus. We're going to do that. We can blame Shane Waldron. We're going to do that. We can blame Matt Eberflus. We can blame Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren. All this comes back to ownership. All comes back with the philosophy of this team. The philosophy of all Chicago ownership. They don't care about winning. And I really feel bad for the fans. And I'm speaking as a fan. It pisses me off because I don't know where's the light at the end of the tunnel. And I've said it before. I'm going to keep saying it. Kevin Warren runs this operation, whether fans want to believe me or not. But what we don't know is if he was a good hire still. And we'll get into that in a minute, which goes back to the McCaskies. George McCaskey, who has countlessly said, I'm not a football guy. You don't want that kind of person running your team. And I have nothing against George McCaskey personally. He's a nice guy. Every time I've run into him, super nice, greet you like he's not the owner of the team. Cool dude, I have nothing wrong with him personally. But as an owner, he sucks. And if you look at other ownerships, Jerry Reinsdorf, it don't really matter. I saw the White Sox sale trip that I told everybody not to fall for. That's not going to happen. The only thing you can work is when he does die is that they actually do the sale. Chicago Bulls are not getting sold whether he dies or not. He's told his family to keep that team because of how much money they make, because the team is still stuck in the 1990s. 1998, we're coming on 27 years since the last time the Bulls won a championship. We're coming up on 14 years since they made the Eastern Conference Finals. The Bears, when's the last time they won a playoff game? Last time the Bears won a playoff game was 2010. It was 15 years ago. And you see that the Chicago White Sox were the last team in this city to win a playoff game. That's just been the total incompetence of the city in the whole. So my sound off to y'all as Chicago sports fans, you got to embrace it. This is who we are. We're not New York. We're not LA. We're not Boston. We're not none of that. This is truly the second city for real, because this is a city of losing ass sports teams. And that's how I'm going to end that with my sound off. I know it's about 10 minutes, but whatever. Let's get into the actual game, unfortunately, that happened last night. Bears lost that one 19-3. They're now going to 20 quarters without a touchdown scored, which is crazy. That London game feels like 100 years ago. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I want to hear my co-host's opinion. And I've talked about this on 7 Night House. I'm just going to say this. It's terrible. The defense there, for as much people who want to say that Matt Eberflus he's a good defensive coordinator, they're not even going for the kill shot anymore on the defense. They can't stop the run anymore without Andrew Billings out there. Offensively, I've never seen wide receivers run the same route as many times as they do. I've never seen this offensive line look as bad as they had. It looks worse than last year. Now, I'm not saying that last year's offensive line was good. I think Justin, his ability to run the ball, made that offensive line look much better than it was. And the fact that Caleb refuses to run with the football makes it look worse. And half of those sacks on Caleb as well. Caleb Williams, he looks like, I won't call him broken, but he's on the road to broken if you don't help this kid out. And I just don't have much. We can't even say, oh, they lost to the worst team in the league. The Bears are in that conversation. We need to stop acting like the Bears are not in that conversation. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's totally broken. There's 8 games left, and I just don't know how you continue to get through the rest of this season without making some change. And the fact that they're up there at Hallis Hall, you got Matt Eberflus. He just spoke to the media 3 times since last night's loss, and he ain't said nothing all 3 times. You know what I'm saying? And he's talking about, oh, we're still working through things. You're supposed to be working on the Packers today. And you shouldn't be waiting until Wednesday to make changes. I shouldn't be waiting before I go up to Hallis Hall on Wednesday to find out if Shane Waldron has been fired, which is not even a Band-Aid. That's not even going to help the situation. Or as DJ Moore said, you're not going to reinvent the wheel. So I just think right now this is bad, but it's going to get worse. I'm going to go to Mikey, man. What's your thoughts on last night's game?
Well, it was embarrassing. I had said that they quit last week during the Cardinals game because you could see it, especially with the big broken play before halftime. And then, there was a lot of another week of noise coming out of Hallis Hall, another week of noise between all of the players, individual media assignments, whether that's on the Score, ESPN 1000, on Cole Komet's podcast. So there was more noise. And I just found it funny that they kept trying to they kept trying to paint this brush that the media, it's the outside noise. It's like, no, y'all motherfuckers are the ones talking. You guys are the ones that can't corral this. Matt Eberflus, you're the one that's doubling down, tripling down on your mistakes and allowing this to fester. So I really wanted to see how they would bounce back. I thought being home, you kind of get back at Soldier Field. You had an 8-game win streak. You were 4-0 there this year. 3-0, and then the Jacksonville game over in London, that counts as a whole game. But you're 3-0 there. I figured, you couldn't have given the Bears a better opportunity to serve them up a W on the platter, and they just came out completely flat. Once again, they do not score in the first quarter. They don't do anything offensively. They don't even score a touchdown. They haven't scored a touchdown since the go-ahead touchdown with 30-something seconds left against DC. It's at the point where apathy has set in for me. And we'll get into that. But just as far as the game, I see a group of guys that quit. I see a group of guys that are not playing for each other. I see a lot of bad body language. I see a lot of business decisions being made. I see Keenan Allen whiffing on blocks. I see DJ Moore half-ass running routes. I see Caleb Williams holding on the ball way too long, getting sacked. I see Caleb Williams not throwing the ball. I see Caleb Williams overthrowing the ball. I see a run defense that was just completely gassed. And we kind of knew that once you lose, the big fella, Andrew Billings, and they weren't a big run defense to begin with. They weren't really doing that well this year in that aspect of the game. We saw Tyreek Stevenson again get picked on, one for the big completion of Austin Hooper and then the one on the touchdown. So yeah, it was just a team that you can tell has not recovered from the Hail Mary incident, and that's if you can't recover from that, then you were never as good as we thought you were or were going to be. There's deeper and much more darker issues at hand, and it was just embarrassing. It was embarrassing, and I agree with you, Scott. I had tweeted like 3 weeks ago that the Bears are closer to a top 10 pick than they were the playoffs, and that's true. I think right now we're at 16. If the Rams win today, you have 14 with the schedule we have coming up. It's mock draft season again.
Dante, man, what's your take on after yesterday's affairs at Soldier Field?
It was actually insane, bro. Like I picked the Bears to win 14-10. I didn't expect much, especially with the uncertainty on the offensive line. But I mean, this is a situation where everything we said that was going to go wrong this season has gone wrong. Like literally everything. Everything we thought was a red flag, that motherfucker's on fire now. Like it's beyond a red flag. It's like, damn, we were right. So it's a situation where when you start to hear certain things like benching Caleb Williams, like I don't know if Adam Schefter was just trying to get clicks or whatever, but when you start to hear things like that, that leads me to pull the plug and fire everybody mode. Because there's no way in hell you come to me and tell me that you're at a point now at the midway point of the season where you're like, well, we might bench this kid and sit him down just to make sure we got to like, no. If that's the case, everybody needs to go, including Ryan Poles, because that's just complete malpractice. So after what I saw on Sunday, it's like the offense is, I don't know if some people are still running Luke Getsy's playbook or if it's just there is no playbook. One of my homies texted me. He was like, bro, do we practice offense during the week? And I was like, my nigga, at this point, I don't know. I can't answer that question because they will legit go out there and look completely lost the entire game. I know I read something that was talking about how they're trying to give Caleb Williams the same type of offense that Peyton Manning has, where he goes to the line with multiple plays. That's why he always checks out of shit. Well, first of all, the fact that he has to consistently check out of the original play tells you how bad the play calling is. Then they struggle to get the play calls in. And for as much as Caleb has struggled, and I will admit there are some concerns that we're going to get into that I personally have, they've done him no favors. And it's frustrating because we sat here the entire offseason and said, man, he's coming into the best situation that any rookie quarterback has ever had. That was bullshit. That was a flat out lie. Like in no way, shape, or form was that factual. Does he have wide receivers?
We could do a whole list of things we was all wrong about from this summer. I damn near put that on the rundown.
100%. Like a lot of it, and I think it's just the excitement about it's easy to talk about how the Bears have never had a quarterback because you're right, we never have. But this is honestly outside of Justin and Mitch. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, but outside of Justin, this was the first like high quarterback pick that I still expect, great things out of. So this is the one where we have every right to be nervous about how they're handling this kid. Because it's one thing to fuck up Rex Grossman or K McNown, but now you have somebody who has the talent to be elite and you're screwing this thing up again. So like for me, start to finish that game, I was like, oh no, we're fucked. Like I'm not gonna lie, like any sense of optimism in terms of Chicago sports as a whole, but the Bears, they were the one team that I was like, nah, man, they trying to figure it out. They got it. Even when healthy, this offensive line is dog shit. So what am I getting excited for? And then, like we say, we see Caleb start to develop the same shit. And I know it was 3 years of Justin, but we see the same holding the ball too long. I text y'all like, does this nigga hate Cole Kmet? I don't understand why he's not throwing him the ball because he's standing there begging for the ball. It's so many plays where Cole is running for 5 or 6 yards, like with his hands up, and he don't get the ball. So like he's ignoring the layups, trying to go deep. The players are developing slow. The receivers are in the same locations. So it's like, where do we go? So I'm with Mikey. Like it's to the point where it's like I don't want to say I don't care because this is one of those teams where we all care. The Bears are the one team that we all give a fuck about. But the shit is getting bad, bro. And it's like when you start continuing to have unwatchable football, we've done this for 3 quarterbacks now, bro. Where it's like it's weekends where you pull up and you don't want to watch this shit. By halftime, you got the 4 screen on and the Bears ain't on that bitch because it's just not fun to watch no more.
I mean, I think the best way you can always see how bad of a team is how many times do they go to them on the auto box on red zone. I'm pretty sure I didn't see them niggas one time on red zone yesterday.
Nah, they were on red zone, but it was always for like the worst shit. It was for like Caleb Williams getting sacked out of field goal range.
Yeah, like not because they're about to score.
Right.
Bang, well, I know your initial reaction yesterday, but how are you feeling 24 hours later about that game?
I feel very concerned about not only the rest of the season, but this organization as a whole. It just seems like we can't get out of our own way. I've said on many episodes here, I think that the Bears not developing a quarterback is kind of an overrated stat because Rex Grossman was a late first round pick. K. McNown was never going to be developed. That was concerned about him when he was drafted. It was almost like, here, nigga, here's a quarterback. But when you look at the last three situations, now you have that concern. Mitchell Trubisky has turned out to not be what anybody thought he could be at the number 2 pick, regardless of anything else. He's not been serviceable. Justin Fields is currently a backup to Russell Wilson. But I do believe that when you look at those two quarterbacks, now you can say with those two, you have questions, right? But now you have the number 1 pick. The Bears has never been in a position where they had the number 1 pick in the draft. They've never been in a position where they had the chance to get the best player in the draft. And now you get the word generational thrown around it. There's a lot of pressure that goes into that. So now it's sink or swim time, right? And look, Caleb Williams, we went through this yesterday because we had a couple of people on there saying, Justin Fields. Look, the Bears situation they're currently in right now is partly because you couldn't have paid Justin Fields a boatload of money, right? But now when you look at Caleb, the concerns that I said before he was drafted, I said on this show and on Some Dude that he holds the ball too long. So he's coming into a same situation as Justin. Justin held on to the ball too long. But something that Justin did better than Caleb is get the fuck out of Dodge. He's not getting out of Dodge. Him and Justin had a hard time of deep balls and connecting there. But one thing that Justin had was a connection with DJ Moore. So he does not have that with DJ Moore. He really does not have that with Keenan Allen. He does not have that with none of the wide receivers. You see them starting to run the ball very well, and then all of a sudden you throw 4 times in a row. Just a number of things that's going on with this team, with the quarterback himself, and with the offensive game plan that they have on there that makes me concerned. Do I have a concern of his long-term future? No, because he has a couple of years to develop and all of that. And if they get rid of the coach, we've seen where some quarterbacks lose their original coach and they go on to have great careers. But I would be lying if I would say that I'm not concerned because of the history of the last 2 situations they had at quarterback.
Now, yesterday on 7 Hallis, we were talking about rock bottom and things like that. And people like, it can't get worse than this. Bang, you said on 7 yesterday that this ain't even rock bottom yet.
No.
I want you to explain to the people who missed 7 Hallis yesterday what you mean by this ain't rock bottom yet.
All right, so I want to shout out my man Herb Howard, who asked some amazing questions yesterday.
Amazing questions. Shout out to Herb and Jason. They were the firing squad. Jason Lee.
Yeah. I want to shout out to Herb, Jason. I want to shout out everybody that for the last 2 days have been pow, 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 and all of them. But a lot of people have been saying, and I heard Herb say that this was rock bottom. No, this is not rock bottom, ladies and gentlemen. Rock bottom is not here because you ain't even played the division yet. Right? You lost to quite possibly the worst team in the league, but you ain't even got to the division yet. So next week, and I if you guys watched the press conference today, they did not say the name of the team that they're going to be playing next week. That is the Green Bay Packers, 12 o'clock at Soldier Field. And right now, they are the underdog in that game at home. The Bears have not been 6.5 points.
Underdog.
Right. They have not been successful against this team in years. And that is our major rival. That does not feel like a rivalry. This does not even feel like Bears-Packers week last year. So you would think if we lose that game and we lose that game in convincing fashion, that's rock bottom. No. Rock bottom is actually when you skip a week and then you go to Detroit to play the Lions on Thanksgiving. It is a nationally televised game at 12 o'clock on a holiday on Thanksgiving Day. All of the men are going to be around their TVs and they're going to be wanting to watch the game while their wives are in the kitchen and they're cooking. And in Detroit, you're going to see a lot of people celebrating because they get to whoop our ass. And in Chicago, you're going to see a lot of people depressed because they're going to see us get our ass whooped by the Detroit Lions. If we lose to the Detroit Lions, and if we lose to the Detroit Lions in blowout fashion, that, ladies and gentlemen, is rock bottom, because now the national media and everybody across the world, including all of the Shabuzi fans he's going to be performing that day, all of them are going to see the Bears get their ass whooped on a holiday. I wanted Matt Eberflus to get fired today. I don't think it's going to happen after the Green Bay game. I don't think it's going to happen after Minnesota. But if the Bears lose and they get their ass kicked on Thanksgiving, that is the mini bye. That's when Matt Eberflus' watch goes or starts. Friday, depending on how much we lose by, that's when you see what happens to Matt Eberflus. But that is rock bottom. Nationally televised, Thanksgiving, on Fox, to Durkins being handed out, and we get our ass whooped in front of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, that's rock bottom.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line.